Hi, I'm Jordan Liker, and this is my case study for EDL 856. In this case, we know several things. We know that Mrs. Rose is a new assistant principal. She's in her first year of being a principal at a new school. She was very excited about the role during the summer and excited to get started. But as she started the school, she realized that there are no PTO or PTA parental groups at the school. But in the past, there have been some parental groups. She's interested in getting those groups started or in getting some parental involvement in the school because she realizes how important community and parental involvement is. But it appears as she talks to the principal that he is not eager to get that parental involvement. She has talked to the principal about her concerns of the lack of involvement and some ideas that she has, but the principal has shown little interest. The principal indicates that he already has a good understanding of the community through what he already does, and he has actually tried to get more parental involvement in the past, but it has ended poorly. He encountered large amounts of parental apathy, some very low turnouts for volunteer work or meetings that he has wanted. And so the conversation kind of stops there. But later in the year, in another conversation, both Mrs. Rose and the principal agree that more parental involvement is needed. And so they schedule a meeting by sending out announcements with students. They give the announcements to the students take them home. But the night of the meeting, very few parents show up, and the principal is actually in favor of canceling the meeting because of the low turnout. What we need to know to properly solve this case, we need to know how the school currently communicates with its parents. Is it just by students taking home communications to the parents, or are there other forms of communication available at the school? We need to know actually, did the parents receive the invitation to attend? I know in my experience, a lot of times students don't end up taking those communication uh, letters or whatever the school hands out home, and the parents actually never see that. So did they actually receive that invitation? Let's know what is the size of the school, the grade levels of the school. We're talking about a grade school, a middle school, or a high school. The communication avenues will change depending on the level that you're at. You can't Probably shouldn't send a letter home with a kindergarten student, but you might be able to do that more if you had more high school students. It'd be nice to know if the school is in a rural or an urban area. Are parents going to have to travel long distances to get to the meeting for this parental involvement meeting? Are the demographics of these families? Do the parents work at night in this community? Um, are there many parents that work at night, or what are their travel avenues like? Do they use public transportation, or do they have private transportation? If the using public, maybe the time they could not make the meeting at that time. And what time of the year is it? Are we talking about fall, winter, spring? How far in the year are we here? And the weather of that time can play a role in getting involvement and people going out of their homes during certain times of the day. And then really furthermore, what are the customs and events that happen on a Monday night in this community? If this is a high school, are there sporting events going on already, and so community members were at these sporting events? What's going on in the school or in the community during this time that may have a role in the amount of parents that would attend a meeting? I'd like to know what the community perception of the school is. Has something in the past caused a rift between the community and the school? Is there something that needs to be corrected before you can get that involvement? Do parents truly not want to be involved, or are there other factors at play here? And then, it'd be nice to know: are the teachers willing to promote more parent involvement? How do the teachers feel about this? Would they like more parent involvement, or would they just is that going to be you're going to have to sell that and parent involvement to the teachers as well? And then what are the ideas that Mrs. Rose has? What are the actual ideas that she has? We don't really know what those ideas are. And then how long has the principal been in the community at his current position? Is he well established or is he also fairly new? In identifying the problem here, I think there's three main problems in this case. One is the culture of the community and the school. It doesn't promote parent involvement or community involvement. There are currently no parental involvement groups. The principal is not eager to start these and to get greater parental involvement. Uh, Number two, there's some ineffective communication channels being utilized. Giving the announcements to a student to take home can be very ineffective. The announcement had very limited information itself. It did not encourage the need for parental involvement for a quality education for the students. It just was an information, didn't really describe what the meeting was going to be about. And the principal and Mrs. Rose do not always agree on the best course of action here. But Mrs. Rose is very excited about the opportunity for parental involvement. The principal is showing less enthusiasm for that. And Mrs. Rose needs to work respectfully under the principal, but still advocate for those students and community stakeholders. And that's kind of a hard line to walk, especially for a new principal, that to advocate for those students and community members, but yet get along and work with the individuals within the school, so you can have positive and successful relationships with your colleagues. So my plan of action, what I would do if I was the assistant principal. First, even with the low turnout, the meeting needs to proceed. Those parents that are there, they want to be involved. So the administration during those cases can learn a lot about the thoughts and the feelings of these parents. They can find out what's important to them. They can have open up that two-way communication. And begin some two-way communication between the community and the school. You can find out what activities or duties these parents may be interested in helping out with, and really just how much they would like to be involved. What would they like to be involved in? Is it just their child's activities, or would they like to be involved in activities that their child does not participate in? During this meeting, you can also gather information on some thoughts and opinions that you could possibly use to create some questions in a survey that you could give to a larger body later on to generate a larger pool of data. But this meeting also provides an opportunity to begin to instill a shared vision of what the community and the school dynamic could look like in the future, and how they both could be so they could both have success, and the two could actually better each other. Second, as a new assistant principal that feels really strongly about getting more parents involved, um, I would try to make the principal let me take the lead on this topic and this subject here, and let me make it a project of mine to make a positive change for the school. Uh, I would take on the added work, develop a plan for selling the need for parent involvement to these parents, and this wouldn't add to the principal's workload, but has the potential for positive changes within the school. If they're not parents aren't participating already, you're not really going to go down here. So um, there's really only an upside with this, I think. Just if the principal doesn't have extra workload, doesn't have to attend these meetings, and if I am doing that, then really we only have a positive or an upside on this. There's really no downside. Third, I would take time to put out a more effective invitation to parents and students to attend these meetings. I would open it up to parents, students, and community members, and this could be done either by mail or maybe if the district or the school had an automated voice system that we could send out automated personal invitations. And some of this depends on the budget that we're dealing with here too. If we can pay for the postage to send out things to every parent of the school. And then develop a survey to distribute to all parents and stakeholders. And the survey could either be by digital or by mail. And again, some of this depends on the cost that we're allowed here. But they could allow the input if they could not attend the meeting. And it also allows community members to have a stake, even if they have no parent or no students in the school system. And the survey should address any of the parent or student concerns or interests, and promote the involvement as a part of the school culture. Get those parents and community members, make them feel like a valued member of the educational team. Fourth, I would try to tie this parent involvement meeting or this involvement meeting in with another event that's being held at the school to get more participation. Not have it be a standalone event by itself. Um, if it's at the grade school level, having things like reading events, reading nights, eat lunch with your child days, STEM activity nights, um, parent-teacher conferences, concert nights. These events, you could actually have uh, the administration meet with the parents before the event actually takes place, just shortly before the event, and they could bring their students, and the students could go to classrooms and help set up for these events and help the teachers actually set up for these events. And so it would be an easy transition then from the meeting right into the event that everyone actually came for maybe. At the middle school and high school level, it can be harder to get parental involvement. But some of the same activities can be utilized, like parent-teacher conferences, concert nights, back-to-school nights. But in addition to these events, a good time to have it at the middle school and high school level would be during athletic events where community members are coming in and they could participate in the survey if it's a short survey as they come in if they want to. Or at the start of the athletic season, most athletic seasons have parent meetings, and so make this parental involvement meeting a part of that parent meeting with the athletic event, so they're there for something already. And I think you're going to get a little more parental involvement that way. Fifth, in the future, these meetings need to happen several times a year. Um, these could happen several times. Orientation days for students and parents new to the community or new to a new building if they're transitioning from one building to another. At times when parents and community members are gathered at school events, uh, you need to have these meetings fairly often throughout the year, and that actually increases the communication, the two-way communication, has parents feel more comfortable with communicating with the school and feel like they have a bigger stake in the school system. And finally, I would increase the promotional efforts of the school through social media, newspaper promotional videos, and this can start slow and then build slowly. Year after year, this can build. So you get some great promotional efforts for the school, so the community knows what's happening in the school, and the community may take an interest and therefore a bigger stake in the school and the education of the students. In resolving the issues, and based on the promoting the success of all students, um, as you do this, it provides increased opportunities for parents to become involved. Um, and if we have increased parental involvement, that correlates to higher academic performance in the classroom and the school improvement. Students whose parents are more involved actually achieve higher grades. They attend school more regularly. And that's true for all grade levels, doesn't depend on the age. Having surveys and meetings that provide opportunities for parents and community feedback. If we're getting feedback early in the year, it can help teachers make some decisions in their planning throughout the year. It can improve the communication between the school and the community, build relationships between the school and the community, and build on trust between the school and the community. It can provide feedback beyond the academics, and it can support a student's social and emotional health, as well as their academic health. We could help identify students who have gone through traumatic events, identify ACEs. And then parents can feel like a more valued member of the educational team. They can feel more open to talking about these issues that they may have as a family with the school personnel. And then teachers, counselors, um, they can help these students work through issues that they may have beyond just their educational issues. Teach them strategies to cope with areas of trauma that they may be experiencing. In, res- in resolving issues based on promoting the success of all students, again, roadblocks are removed that may hinder the parental and community involvement in the school by communicating with them. They can providing multiple modes of communication and survey completion can reduce the uncomfortableness that parents may feel in communicating with the school. Parents involved in school groups can now act as some liaisons between the school and the community, and they can help answer questions between that other community members may have, and be a positive advocate for the school. And by allowing more opportunities to be involved, this can establish some positive communication channels between the school and the community. It builds a positive image of the school and the community. Um, and we need to make sure that the communication is understandable. There's not using a lot of educational jargon, and the communication talks about the positive nature of the school instead of just communicating to parents when a child is in trouble. In debriefing the problem, what was I thinking here? I was really thinking that there must be a deeper reason as to why the parents are not involved. In my experience, most parents care deeply about their children. They want what's best for them. They want to be involved. And so, what's the real reason that they're not attending or not participating here? Um, I was thinking that the principal's communication strategies were not very effective. I think a lot more effective communication channels can be utilized, especially with advances in technology. Uh, I think we can send out messages to parents very quickly using technology, and actually get a greater turnout for these meetings. And I think the school needs a cultural shift here. The problem might not be with the parents; it might be with the school. The school needs to be open to having that parental involvement. I mean, it is a if this is a school that's educating children, and so that education of children, parents, community members, they play a large role in that education, and they can play a vital role and be an asset to the education of students. What is I feeling here? Um, the change in the culture, I think it could be a long process. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. Small changes could be made, and then grow on those changes year to year. Um, so this could be a process that might take several years to accomplish. Communication between the school and the community should be done in a more professional way, I think, not just sending communication home with students, but instead communicating with the parents directly. Um, the more direct communication, open two-way communication you have between the school and the parents, the more buy-in you're going to get to uh, activities and changes that the school may have. And the principal um, felt he wasn't eager um, to get greater parent involvement. Um, he he was fine with the way things were, and so I don't think he's too eager to get greater parental involvement. I think he's a little hesitant to change, and change can be hard. So that also plays a role in this problem. What was I valuing here? I really valued how Mrs. Rose was working respectfully with the principal and her dedication, uh, and her dedication to revisit the issue that she was passionate about. It's sometimes hard when you disagree, but she was respectful, and that can go a long way to building the relationship between her and the principal as well. And I valued the principal showing signs that he was willing to adjust, that he initially didn't want a meeting, but later on he was okay with having a meeting. And I valued that the parents that did show up for the initial meeting. Um, it does take some dedication. Sometimes you have to start small, and then build from those. And those parents can act as advocates to other community members. And so sometimes you do need to start small and build. And so I did value those parents for showing up. Some of the unresolved issues that need to be addressed yet would be, how would the teachers handle the increased parent involvement? How quickly will the changes occur? How are we looking at a plan that's going to take a few months or a year or several years? What are some of the issues in the eyes of the community that need to be resolved? The survey results that community members and parents do need to be analyzed. And so, is there an issue that has happened in the past that has created some tensions between the school and the community, or are there some, or is there something greater at play here? And then how will the principal handle the increased parent and community involvement? He seemed a little bit hesitant to change, didn't really want those parent and community involvement. So how is he going to handle that? Is he going to be on board for that and appreciate the parental involvement, or is he going to push back against that parental involvement in the school? And and really, maybe the most important is, can the school attract more than the initial 8 parents? Can we build from that? Can the school build from that parental involvement? Or is it really just that parents are not interested in participating in the school? So the hope would be to build off of that, but that's yet to be realized. So in reflecting on the standard that an educational leader promotes the academic success and the personal well-being of every student, by promoting the communities um, that they are in, and the engagement for the families and other stakeholders in the school community. And the first component there, promoting the academic success of all students while addressing the issues in the case. Um, it, It really is. It's proven that an increased parental involvement, with increased parental involvement, there is increased student achievement. Um, so having multiple parent meetings throughout the year can increase that parental involvement. Um, Having open two-way communication between those parents and the school, it can increase that parental involvement. And communicating with parents for good things instead of just bad things can actually increase that parental involvement as well. Building relationships within the community can create more interest in the school. Having surveys available for all community members gives them a voice, makes them feel part of the team, and the assistant principal taking action and getting positive results can lead to some increased collaboration with the principal in the future. Um, so, with the assistant principal taking the reins here, and actually, if the assistant principal were to get positive results out of this, the principal may be more willing to trust their judgment, and be more willing to try out their ideas and work with them for future endeavors that may improve the culture of the school as well. In component two, um, promoting the personal well-being of every student, again while addressing the uh, the case here. Um, the surveys that were completed increase the communication between the school and the students and their families, and can provide information beyond the students' academics. It can allow the school to identify ACEs in regards to trauma and provide support for students and strategies for them to overcome the trauma that they may have experienced. Students whose parents are more involved attend school more regularly. Um, Two-way communication between schools and parents can raise class participation. It can lead to levels of increased enrollment in higher educational institutions, and therefore affect the future lives of students in a positive manner. And opening communication channels builds relationships in the community, and community members are more willing to help and support students. Businesses may be more likely to offer internships or sponsor clubs that the school may have. So it can increase and build on some positive relationships between the school and the community. In component three, um, promoting the engagement to the communities of engagement for families and other stakeholders, opening up of the involvement meetings for all allow for greater participation, and having meeting and survey opportunities during school events that attract large numbers of members from the community, like sporting events or concerts, allows for greater participation and input. It allows you to communicate with community members that the school may otherwise never have contact with or be able to contact. And opening up two-way communication makes stakeholders feel like a valued member of the educational team. Stakeholders are going to be more likely to support school improvement projects, um, be more likely to support student activities if they have a communication channel and they feel like they have a say in the public school system, especially that they support with their tax dollars. And having honest communication builds trust. Um, Building trust can allow the school to recover more quickly from setbacks that it will may have in the future. It promotes community engagement, and so having that honest communication can be very beneficial. Finally, here are my references. Thanks for watching.